Hi, Darrell here. It's been our practice to go ahead and take all of the questions that we get and to answer them from our students about how you can better improve your oil painting, your acrylic painting, your water mixable painting. And I often ask my good buddy Joe to help me out with all these questions. So Joe, do we have any today?
We sure do, Darrell. This one here is from Catherine from County Cork, Ireland. And she has a question about the care of brushes. What is the difference between water mixables versus oils when you're taking care of your brushes?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Well, we have posted, I guess it was a couple months ago, Joe, you remember we posted how to clean your oil painting brushes, and we got quite a number of people that responded they liked that. I guess maybe we should have also done one on acrylic and on water mixable. Maybe that's a good idea to do in the next month. But I think it is important to understand what the differences are. And in fact, what I'm going to do is stretch this question to also include acrylic brushes as well. Now, before we start addressing the care, let me say there are two places you could go to find out just exactly what brushes we use. The first place is on our website. If you go to our website and you go to the store, go down under art supplies, and just scroll down, you'll find all the list of brushes that we use, and they're divided between, and it's not just brushes, it's just paints, mediums, accessories, everything. And we divide them between oil, water mixable oils, and acrylics. So you can find out if you want pink flowers, which you'll be using, and so forth. So that's on our website, and anyone can access that. So you go to a website, homepage, look at store, click down on store, click on art supply. And we don't sell art supplies, but we do tell you what we use. And I think on the links page, there are some links there where you can go to different places, and they're willing to give you a nice discount. And you can also shop eBay and other auction places to get good prices. All right, let's head on down to the palette where I've set up some brushes just to answer this question, and let's talk about care for a few minutes. What I've done here is put some water mixable brushes right here and some acrylic brushes. Now, you know, Joe, the biggest difference between the acrylic brushes and the water mixable is that we use the identical brushes for water mixable oils that we use for traditional oils. However, I use synthetic brushes and bristle brushes for acrylic. Now, I don't use synthetic brushes when I'm using traditional oils and water mixable oils because they have a tendency, the bristles, to cut right down through layers of paint beyond what I like. And I love being able to control how many layers of paint that I'm adding on top of paint or taking off. And so it's hard to do with synthetic brushes. So what I like to do is use them for acrylics because that's a lot easier. Now, both brushes can be cleaned with everyday water. And what I like to do is I take a little container made just for acrylic painting, and I'll use them for either. I'll fill this up with water on both sides, okay? Now, if you see that gradient there, I can use that for cleaning brushes afterwards. It's just very simple. You just sit here, see that? And that's how you clean all the sediment. Now, if the water gets too dirty, just toss it out properly, reload with some water, and you can continue cleaning. But what I also like to do, and this is part of the care of the brushes, is whenever I'm not using the brush, I'll just lay it right down, just like that. In fact, sometimes I'll use a shallow pan, like a cooking sheet, so that it lays pretty flat. You see, when you store your brushes, you want to store them flat. Here's the reason. It's when you set them up like this, you see this metal ferrule? That metal ferrule has all of the glue that holds those brushes. So if it's constantly drying with the water and mediums mixed in there, then it's going to loosen up and shorten the life of the brush. Now, we pay far too much for our brushes, and I hope the art supply vendors are hearing me say that. We pay far too much for good quality brushes, so we want to make sure that we prolong their lives, and that's one thing we can do. Okay, now, with acrylic brushes, I use pretty much that. I don't do anything special other than to keep them flat. Okay, now, let's look at these water mixable brushes. I told you that one of the things about these brushes is that they are identical to the ones that I'm using in traditional oil, except I'm now cleaning them with water. Now, one of the things that will happen is that these will flare out all over the place as they dry. So to prevent that from happening, what I like to do is wrap them in just plastic wrap or cellophane paper, just to make sure that I retain the shape and I store them flat. And I will do that on these brushes, okay, that are large, anything that's an inch or longer and made out of natural hair. And that's pretty much all you have to be careful about. Make sure you lay them flat, keep them separated. Don't use these one day for water mixable oils and then traditional oils the next, because water and oil really doesn't mix. And keep everything flat. I like to get a huge tray. So find out what the largest brush is that you've got, and you get a tray that size, and you can lay them flat. Because I'll tell you, if you don't, you're going to get a surprise. And I showed Joe some of the surprises. Here's my example. You see this? This has got all kinds of brushes of different sizes. See how this just doesn't sit unless it's battering? Well, what that does is it bends the bristles straight up. And then your brush permanently goes to that angle, and you have a problem with it. Like I have a problem with this particular brush, okay? And I keep it around just to remind students and myself to properly store my brushes. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that little tip. And that was a great question. It was Catherine, right, Joe?
Catherine, right.
And what island did she say she was from?
County Cork, Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. That's a nice place. There's a little castle called Blarney that's not far from there. And I went up and kissed that stone they have right on the top. And they say if you kiss the Blarney stone, that you're going to be full of Blarney all your life. So all you have to do is take a look at me and know whether or not that's a true statement. Okay, it's not true. You're not full of Blarney. You have to be full of Blarney first to begin with before you kiss the stone. Okay, just to wrap up, I want to invite each and every one of you to send me a question by email, Darrell@darrellcrow.com, that you have about painting, whether it's water miscible oils, whether it's acrylics, whether it's traditional oil. And I'll be happy to give you a go at it, and I even have a gift for you if you do send it to me. I'm Darrell Crow, and yes, you can paint. Look me up at darrellcrow.com.